Live with local comforts. Love community over commuting. Live in a home built by Glenveagh. Love where you live. Glenveagh, home of the new.
Welcome to Through the Front Door, brought to you by Glenveagh Homes. On this podcast, we'll be consulting a wide range of experts, from mortgage brokers and architects to interior designers and sustainability experts, who will be addressing those burning questions you've always wanted to know the answer to. This week, I'm joined by Head of Originations for Home Buying at Bank of Ireland, Rachel Bradshaw.
You know, when you talk to your mortgage advisor, they'll be very familiar with the Help to Buy anyway, and they can help you in terms of you doing the application, but you have to do it yourself through Revenue, but do it as early as you possibly can, because then you'll know how much you're going to get from the Help to Buy. So you know then, okay, I'm going to get 20,000 from the Help to Buy. I need to come up with, maybe 5,000 myself, and this is how much of a mortgage I need. So, we need to put all of the amounts together, and then, that makes up the purchase price of the property.
From their experience to mine, we'll be sure to cover all the bases to put you, the listener, on your way to finding your perfect home. Rachel, how are you? I was having a quick look at your LinkedIn profile before we jumped on, because that's what you have to do. You'll see that I was snooping around your profile on LinkedIn when we're finished this chat. Like, Head of Originations is a very broad role, isn't it?
So basically, my role is essentially to manage the teams that help our customers from their initial mortgage inquiry through to drawdown when they move into their house. We've got obviously our branch network, and we've dedicated mortgage specialists in our branches. And we have our mobile mortgage manager team who do what they say in the tin. They're out and about. They'll meet customers anytime, anywhere, that suits them. So essentially, my job is to make sure that the mortgage journey from the initial inquiry right through to getting the check and moving into your new home, that runs as smoothly as possible.
And I say it's very broad because, originations is obviously all of the originations of the teams that
Yes.
you look after. But can I just ask you, and it's purely really out of my own curiosity, as questions are coming into my head as well. Do you find that online, there's an increase in online applications? Now, okay, so I'm a slightly older lemon. I'm not an elder lemon. I'm just becoming a slightly older lemon. I absolutely want to speak to somebody. I want to establish a relationship with the person, with the name. Do you think that's age related? And that the younger ones who they'll just tap all day, online for an application, and they're happy to chat online as well?
The younger generation and younger applicants are probably a bit more comfortable, but we do get people of all age ranges applying online. And I suppose, applying online doesn't mean tapping away, interacting with a computer. There's somebody at the back of that computer as such.
Not
so
a
we've
robot.
got it's not a robot. We've got a big support team. And I think the beauty of the online process really is at any stage, you've got a phone line there and people at the end of the line who can pick up your application. So you can move between different channels. So you might decide you start online, you move then to the phone channel, or you could start online, move to a mobile mortgage manager or to our branch channel. So it doesn't only mean that you do everything online. So there's support there in whatever way you want, because you might start online, you might start your initial inquiry and then decide, actually, you know what, I'd actually like to sit down and speak to somebody. And that's fine. And they can pick it up at any stage. But one of the things with online is that regardless of what channel you do choose, so you might go to a branch or a mobile mortgage manager, you can actually track your application through online, which is fantastic. So you can log in and you can see at any stage where it's at.
Okay, that's very cool. That's very comforting, actually.
It is, and look, at loads of other industries have had this for years and years. But really, for our customers, the feedback from our customers is really positive on online tracking. So, you've got, I suppose, a journey where from start to finish, and you can see where you are along that journey and what your next steps are.
Yeah, it's look, I suppose what you're really saying to me is that nobody's in their box in terms of how they start the process. And interestingly, even in my own business, my own small business, whereby I source property for people generally speaking, who most of them don't have the time, or they could be overseas, or they're first-time buyers who actually don't understand the process. Those first-time buyers can be anybody from the age of 25 to 55.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's astonishing. And you know, I just know that they find the whole process so stressful, and I get them at the end of the process.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's two ways that I pick up my clients, for want of a better way of putting it. But anyway, there's two ways that my clients come to me. Right. The first way is because they are approved in principle. Right. That's the first thing. And their approval in principle might be about to run out in 6 or 8 weeks, and they're starting to panic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they come to me and say, listen, we don't want to go through our due diligence, not so much due diligence, but to have to reapply all over again. Can you help? Or they come for my services very early, right? Yeah. And say, listen, we're both working really hard. We're two young professionals, or one professional, whatever their personal lives, you know, or whatever journey they're on. And I physically don't have the time. So it's very interesting that people, you know, they do a huge amount of this type of work, as in sourcing a mortgage and sourcing a home after working hours.
That's it. Yeah.
They're sitting at home with a laptop on their knee, or they're up in bed going, right, how do I apply for a mortgage? And you're doing this at night. And then you close the laptop and you get up in the morning, you go off to about your work. And then the next thing is the house.
Yes.
How do, you know, I suppose part of being head of originations and looking across all of these teams, I suppose very much it has to be about keeping potential customers' stress levels to a minimum, so that they have faith in you guys.
It is. It absolutely is. I mean, it's the biggest financial commitment that most people will ever make in their life. Okay. So, and most people will probably go through it maybe once, maybe twice, 3 times, you know, if they're lucky.
Yes.
And for us, really, yeah, there is an element of stress for some customers about it, but there are ways to avoid that stress. And kind of similar to what you said there, you know, there's 2 types of people nearly. There's people who kind of come to you at the very last minute, but there's people who come to you at the very start. And, you know, my advice to anybody would be, as soon as you've kind of made that decision in your mind, okay, we're going to make the move, we're going to, you know, decide to,
we're doing this,
put down our roots, you know, we want to go and look for a property. That's when you go and you speak to the bank. You don't wait until, you know, you've looked at 25 homes, you've fallen in love with your dream home, and then, okay, let's get the mortgage. Because that's just putting yourself under unnecessary stress. And, you know, if you go and speak to a mortgage specialist, when you have this as an idea in your mind, that's the right time to do it, because they will then be able to explain to you, look, you know, these are the steps that we will go through. And remember that the mortgage specialist, it's their role to bring you through this. They're doing it day in, day out. They're the experts. There's no obligation. It's free. There's no fees for it. So, you know, use them. That's what I would say. And, you know, it's a very rewarding job actually as a mortgage specialist to bring somebody through that journey, because it's such a special time, and see them into their new home. So as early as possible, engage with your bank and, you know, start off having your discussions to understand, okay, what is involved here. And that will really bring the stress levels down for customers.
Yeah. You're 100% correct. And I like the way you said it, because it just keeps life very simple. It's just like, you know, this service is free. You know, nobody's asking you for an upfront payment that you really don't know what the end game on that payment is going to be. Am I going to lose money? You know, if I change my mind, like all of this research is being done for you. And I couldn't agree with you more. You know, approach your bank, approach numerous banks if you want to. Speak to a mortgage broker as well. If you're banking with Bank of Ireland, go back to who you know. You know, it's. I always say that to people all the time. They're always, you know, there's a psychological, I suppose, and it's with a lot of things across life. You know, it's just taking that first step. Like anything, you feel a little bit vulnerable and a bit nervous. And will I sound like an idiot? No, you won't. Thousands have done it for the first time. But when we were doing this, when I was asked to do this podcast, Rachel, which is lovely because it's lovely chatting to a variety of people across the property industry, you know, who I'm not actually connected with, but we're all connected.
Yeah.
And what came up in one of the conversations was about a green mortgage, right? I am dealing with mortgage brokers and banks and people talking about more, and I have never heard the term, I should say, green mortgage. And I was completely fascinated and a little bit bamboozled. No doubt those conversations have taken place behind the scenes. Do you know, can you tell me a little bit more about the green mortgage? Isn't it weird that it has never been mentioned to me? And I can only assume that it's for A-rated homes or new homes. That's where it's applicable.
So the green mortgage, well, it's for homes that have a specific BER rating. So every home has to have a BER rating, and the valuer will tell you what the BER rating. And when you actually look at homes, if you go onto any of the websites, they always quote, this is the BER rating of this home, and it's how energy efficient the home is. So, over the past couple of years, green mortgages have come about. And basically, you're getting a discount depending on how energy efficient your home is. So, for example, within Bank of Ireland, we give a 0.30% discount on homes that have a BER rating of B3 or above. So it doesn't have to be A1, okay? It can be, A2, B1. So anything B3 or above will get the discount of 0.30. So I suppose, when you're looking at for a home, and particularly you'll see most new homes now have quite high BER ratings.
Yeah,
they're quite energy efficient and they're really, really, really good in that way. And then you'll have some secondhand homes where I suppose, the owners have put a lot of money in to refurbish the home to bring it up to a specific standard. So some of them can have a higher BER rating as well. But green mortgages now are quite common, and there is a discount if your mortgage meets the BER criteria.
Yeah, and I'd say now people are going, what, 0.3? That's nothing. I'd say if you calculated that now over the space of 20 to 30 years, it's quite a significant chunk.
It does. It is, right. This is not a one-off payment you're making here. For most customers, it's 25 to 30 years. And having that discount in place is really invaluable. And especially, in the first few years where for most customers, they're trying to furnish their home, they're trying to, do other things at the same time. A lot of first-time buyers, they're starting off, they might have creche fees, all that sort of stuff. So every single penny counts. So that discount is really important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's absolutely brilliant as well.
Yeah.
Very, very good to know about. My own home is I think it's a C2, but there's so many offerings out there now. And actually with the new retrofitting schemes that are coming up from the government, I think it's sort of an expensive process to get that started, but one whereby I'll have to look into it to see, can I get up to a B1? And then actually, now there's a question for you now that I'm thinking of it. Let's say somebody is living in an older home, and the BER could quite easily be a C or a D, and you're still going through your mortgage process. You're still carrying a mortgage, so to speak. And if you chose to go down one of the new government energy efficiency schemes to upgrade your home to, I think they want everybody actually. I think it's up to a B3. I think it's a B3.
Yeah, B3
actually,
I think it is.
By 2030, something like that, whatever it happens to be. Can you then sort of have a conversation about maybe getting a green mortgage?
Well, if you are applying for the mortgage at the time of when you draw down your mortgage, as part of the mortgage process, you do have to get a valuation, and the valuer will state what the rating is. So at the time of drawing down your mortgage must meet the criteria. So whether that's a B1, B2, B3. So at that time, it must meet the criteria for.
I suppose what I'm just asking is, there's so many conversations around switching now, right? And it's a massively competitive market. I don't need to tell you that.
It is.
But if you're having a chat to somebody about switching, but this is my own mind, I'm just certainly, could you say, can you offer me a green mortgage now? Or can you offer me any discount because I've managed to retrofit my home? Could you do that?
Yes, it does apply. Yes, you could. Yeah, absolutely. It's not only for, new builds or first-time buyers. It applies to switchers as well.
Okay, I think that's really, really brilliant to know. Yeah. Really brilliant to know. But look, as primarily we're here to talk about first-time buyers,
Yes.
because a lot of these first-time buyers will be going to new developments like Glenveagh Homes, etc. Like, just to be starting the process, what boxes do you need to have ticked? Is there any bits of paperwork, that you might need to chat to somebody about on the phone, and you've got them there in front of you, and it kicks you off to a good start?
Yeah, so you go in and, as I say, start early, have your initial conversation, and the mortgage specialist will talk to you about, potentially give you an idea of how much you can borrow based on your salary. They'll talk to you about what documents you need. They'll talk to you about what type of deposit you need and what you qualify for. So they'll give you all that information. And then when you move forward to actually making the application, there are a number of documents that the bank will require. So to start off, we obviously want to make sure that we're loaning you this mortgage money, and we want to make sure that you have the ability to repay it. And that you're still able to maintain your lifestyle as well. It's not only about, can you pay your mortgage? You need to be able to pay for your bills, all of your other
and do something nice, and
exactly,
be able to do something nice.
And live your life. So we need to look at that. So how do we find, how do we ascertain that? So we would look at customers. We would be looking for a copy of their statements, usually 6-month statements, and that will show us, okay, how you manage your money on a weekly or a monthly basis in whatever way you get paid. We'd also be looking for evidence of your savings. So for first-time buyers, they require a minimum of 10% deposit. And in a lot of cases, they will save some of that deposit. They might get a gift as well. But we'd look for evidence of how you are going to come up with the 10% deposit. Also, your income is really, really important. So
even if it's a gift, do you need evidence of the gift?
We would need evidence of the gift. Yes. Yeah. So we need to understand where you're
getting
did you get your 10%
funds from.
Yeah. And then we would also need, as I say, to look at your salary and understand your salary. So in a lot of cases, we would have a salary certificate that the customer would get their employer to fill out. And that would give details of your annual salary, any bonuses that you might receive, whether they be guaranteed or not. Some customers then would have elements of variable pay within their salary as well.
Okay.
So we'd be looking for, I suppose, how often are you getting this variable pay, and we take some of that into account. And we'd look for some pay slips as well. So they're really the main documents that we're looking for when customers are making a mortgage application.
All of that I understand. And just sort of have as much of that documentation, as you say, as you can. The usual, the 6 months salaries, where did you get the gift from, where are your funds from, etc. Those initial questions, and then obviously your mortgage advisor is going to guide you through the rest of the process.
Yes.
Slightly tricky, however, if you are, say, a creative or a musician, or somebody or a stand-up comedian, for example, or somebody who's self-employed. It's a far trickier process for somebody who, in fact, could be doing very well and actually generating a significant income in their craft, but finding it very, very difficult to be approved. How do you deal with self-employed individuals or people who are in startups or creatives, as I say?
Yeah, look, not everybody is in the 9-to-5 PAYE category, and more you see people in those type of roles, or the gig economy, and it's a different.
Is that what you call it, the gig economy?
Well, there's the gig economy where people go from maybe a contract, from one contract to another contract another contract, depending on what.
There's those kind of gigs as well.
Yeah,
corporate gigs.
Exactly. Yeah. And all of them are very, very different. But I suppose what the bank is looking at is like, what type of contract are you on? If you're on a contract, what's the length of that contract? What's your past history of employment? And then obviously, what sector are you in? Because if it's a sector that we know is enduring and is booming and it will continue on, that makes a big difference. And what we want to work out is, how likely is it that you'll be earning at this level or a similar level into the future, right? And that's what we need to look at. You then have other kind of self-employed people where it's the kind of normal self-employed, where maybe they're running a business themselves and It's maybe a shop, or some other type of business. So they need a different set of documentation. So what we're looking for from those customers are 2 years audited accounts, right? So all of those customers would be engaging with an accountant who'll do their accounts for them. We'd also be looking for some of their business statements as well. And depending on what sector they're in, there'll be other documents that we would require. So it would be very specific to the type of role that they're doing, or the type of job or industry that they're in. But it doesn't mean just because you're not in a 9 to 5 that you can't qualify for a mortgage. We all know plenty of people, and there's jobs there now that probably didn't exist 5 years ago. And there'll be jobs in 5 years that don't exist now. So, we have to evolve, and we look at each case on its own merit.
And just for those who are in the gig economy, that's my new line now, the gig economy. I think that's fab. But for those who are in the gig economy, I suppose, is it fair to just say to them, look, keep doing what you're doing in terms of trying to obtain the mortgage, but just be very mindful that it is a slightly trickier process. It's a more in-depth process in terms of the research. Nobody's saying no. They're just trying to make sure that, to help you, to help and guide you, but it may take longer than the normal 9 to 5er who's in a permanent job.
Yeah, it may, but it may not as well, because it does depend on, what they're bringing to the mortgage application as well. So some people within that type of employment might have quite a large deposit, because they might get paid, very big lump sums at different stages throughout the year. So for them, it might actually be easier for them to come up with the deposit versus a normal person 9 to 5 who has to save on a weekly or a monthly basis. But, what I would say is keep in contact, go to your mortgage specialist initially. They will, be very transparent, explain everything to them, and they will have seen it before, and they'll tell you, look, this is what we, for your circumstances, this is what we will need, and this is what you will need to do. And I
not
think
dissimilar as well with high level playing, national athletes.
Absolutely.
Who would be paid at a very high level, but it might be for 5 years.
Exactly.
5 to 10 years.
Soccer players or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I suppose if you think of most of them, a lot of them then go on into, coaching or commentary or something like that.
Yeah, media.
So you're looking down the road and you're saying, well, actually, we would have a lot of customers who would be in that sector, and we would have seen them through the height of their career, and now they're in a different career, but obviously they're still generating an income, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, look, when you start to sort of look at the nitty gritty of your customers,
yes,
like the base is so broad, and the variations of where any first time buyer is coming from, whether it's the gig economy, the permanent contract economy, the athlete economy, it's a roller coaster of professions, isn't it?
It is.
Skills,
it absolutely is.
And incomes.
Yeah.
I suppose when we talk about it, it's only then that you start to really understand how you have to traverse the snakes and ladders of actually getting to, yes, we'll lend you this.
Yeah.
And these are the reasons why.
Yeah.
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 Across your teams, Rachel, are the teams, does it really matter who comes to the table, or are they then directed to a specific team? Is there a first-time buyers team and then somebody who might be looking for a second mortgage team, or an investor's mortgage, or a commercial mortgage? Obviously is a different matter.
Yeah, no. Most of the teams in general would deal with all types of mortgages. What we would see is that the mobile mortgage managers would probably tend to deal with maybe more of the high net worth customers, just by virtue of the fact that they're not available throughout the normal 9 to 5. So they don't really, come to the bank or contact the bank during those hours, and they're available after hours. And, same goes for our branch teams as well. A lot of our branch teams would deal with such a variety of customers, but some of it will be outside of working hours as well. And so it just depends, but all of our channels are open really to all mortgage applicants.
Yeah, I have to say, when you say about the mobile mortgage managers, God Almighty, they'll go straight to heaven, won't they? Like
They
they're
will.
out, they'll go straight to heaven. Like they're out talking to people, after 7 o'clock in the evening in
They
their
are.
homes.
They are. Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
is that's dedication, if there ever was dedication, isn't it?
It is. No, it is. And look at, there is a demand there for that type of service
Oh, I
because,
completely agree.
because the way people work now at the moment, and like life is very busy and frantic for a lot of people, and in a lot of cases, when it's a joint application, trying to get two people to get to the appointment at the same time during the working day can be difficult. So that option is there for those type of customers.
Just for my own curiosity, at the height of the pandemic, when nobody was really mobile,
Yeah.
did the mobile managers become Zoom mobile managers?
They did, yeah. Well, all of our channels
Everybody.
offered virtual. So, most of our direct channel had obviously a lot of engagement during COVID, but the mobile mortgage managers worked on Zoom, as did our branch channels, all worked on Zoom as well, and Teams. Yeah.
God, and the Zoom people who created Zoom, they'll go straight to heaven as well, won't
They
they?
will. They
They
absolutely
absolutely
will.
will. Listen, just before I let you go, can we touch on the Help to Buy scheme,
Yes, yes.
if that's all right? And where does the Help to Buy scheme come into play in terms of a mortgage, if at all?
It does. So Help to Buy scheme, it's a government scheme that's in place. And essentially what it does is it refunds some of the tax, the dirt tax and income tax that you have paid over the past 4 years. So there's specific criteria that you have to meet to be eligible for the Help to Buy scheme. Firstly, it's only applicable to first-time buyers. Okay, so only first-time buyers. Secondly, you have to be purchasing a new build to apply to be able to get this scheme. And your property needs to be under 500,000. Okay, so you need to be borrowing, under 500,000, and you need to be borrowing at least 70% loan to value. Okay, so if you really, it's there for people to support people who need to get their deposit up. Okay, and we know that's a challenge at the moment because rents are high, childcare costs are high.
It
And
is.
if you're renting and you've got childcare costs, very, very difficult to save your deposit. So the Help to Buy scheme is there to help those customers. The limits were increased there a couple of years ago, and they're valid now until December 2020. But basically, what you do get is you get the lesser of three options, right? So it's either
sorry, did you say they're valid until December
2022?
2022 at the minute, and that's an annual thing.
It is, and it'll be reviewed.
There's always that question, isn't there, around it?
Yes, yeah, but I mean,
it's generally renewed.
It's reviewed during the budget normally. So what does the customer get in terms of the Help to Buy scheme? So they will get the lesser of these three options. So they'll either get €30,000 towards their mortgage, they can get 10% of the purchase price, or the total of 4 years tax that they have paid. Okay, so whichever is the lesser of those three amounts, that's what they will get, and they can put that then towards the purchase of their new home. So
can it become part of the 10%?
It can, yes, absolutely, yeah, and really,
genius, really, isn't it?
It really is, and it's so helpful for customers, as I say, who are paying rent, who are paying childcare. It's very difficult to save in those circumstances, but from a customer's perspective, there's a lot of information on revenue.ie around Help to Buy. If anybody wanted to go and look for more information on it. The way it works is a customer will make the application through the Revenue website for it. And then the bank will take that into account, obviously, when the customer is applying for the mortgage, that's part of the deal. And then what happens is, in the background between the solicitor and the builder, and the Revenue, the builder is paid the money. So, if you were purchasing a property, for say 300,000 and you were getting 20,000 from the Help to Buy, you would apply through Revenue. That 20,000 doesn't come to you, it goes straight to the builder when your mortgage is being drawn down. So your solicitor will help you and talk you through how it works as well.
So would Help to Buy be one of the very first steps before you speak then to your mortgage manager? Would you be saying, now listen, by the way, in the throes of my conversation with you, I've also applied for the Help to Buy scheme?
Yes, yeah. Like, I mean, I would do it early. These type of things.
Just get on it.
Just go and research it. And when you talk to your mortgage advisor, they'll be very familiar with the Help to Buy anyway, and they can help you in terms of you doing the application. But you have to do it yourself through Revenue. But do it as early as you possibly can, because then you'll know how much you're going to get from the Help to Buy. So then, okay, I'm going to get 20,000 from the Help to Buy. I need to come up with, maybe 5,000 myself, and this is how much of a mortgage I need. So, we need to put all of the amounts together, and then, that makes up the purchase price of the property.
It's a fabulous scheme, I have to say. It's a fabulous scheme. And the only panic around the scheme is it being renewed? Is it being renewed year on year? But so far, it's been an extraordinary success.
It has. And lots of customers have benefited from it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, great. I mean, it's funny, I hear about it all the time. I mean, I don't know about all the machinations in the background, but it is brilliant to know that you can use the Help to Buy scheme as part of your deposit when you're applying for your first-time buyer's mortgage with Bank of Ireland and with everybody else who provides mortgages as well. It's fantastic.
You can.
Rachel, we could be talking about this till about 11 o'clock, I'd say, but sure, we can't. We can't. And it's, it's really lovely to talk about it just in layman's terms.
It is.
It's another scary thing. I think a lot of first-time buyers, and as you rightly said at the very beginning, and I always say this myself, buying a property is not a transaction that you do very often. You might do it twice in your lifetime, as you said. Maybe 3 times at the most for the average person, but it's getting the whole process going can be so daunting and so can create anxiety. But I think we've had a really lovely chat, just making it all sound so normal and not scary, and nobody's here to to talk to you in a very highfalutin business manner. It's just get down to business and let's see what we can afford, and let's see how we can help you, and let's see how we can all move on and be happy.
That's it. And I mean, and it isn't, as it is a big financial commitment. It's probably the biggest thing you'll do. However, there is so much support there for customers, and, there's dedicated mortgage specialists there that will help you, support you throughout every step of the process. So, you're not on your own when you're going through it.
Yeah, it's great. And it's lovely to hear. And I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. I've learned a lot myself this morning, because I tend to deal with the first-time buyers when they go, we got the mortgage.
Yeah.
But now what'll we do? And equally, just in terms of, even myself coming as the follow-up person to the mortgage provider. What a lot of people don't realize as well is that mortgage providers don't get paid until the buyer draws down. And it's only then that you start to make your money. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
Right. So if we could speed up that process as well, sure, wouldn't life be fantastic for everybody? It'd be great. And we'd all draw down, we'd all buy quicker and draw down quicker, and then everybody's getting paid quicker. Anyway, Rachel Bradshaw, Head of Originations with Home Buying in Bank of Ireland. It's been really nice talking to you. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you for your very frank expertise. It's very nice.
Thank you very much, Liz. It was lovely talking to you.
Live with local comforts. Love community over commuting. Live in a home built by Glenveagh. Love where you live. Glenveagh, home of the new.